Dungeons & Dragons Neverwinter is a fantasy MMORPG developed by Cryptic Studios and published by Perfect World Entertainment. Originally, the game was to be released as a subscription-based game in 2011, back when Atari owned Cryptic Studios. But when 2011 came around, Cryptic Studios was sold to Perfect World Entertainment, who then in turn released the game in 2013 under a free-to-play model. It's a cross-platform game that's playable on Microsoft Windows, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4, and has a story that is based on the Forgotten Realms campaign in Dungeons & Dragons. The game consists of questing and PvP, but the fan base has kept the game alive and well through a content creation modding tool called the Foundry that allows players to create their own quests for Neverwinter and release them to the public. The Foundry tool is not a third-party tool, but rather it's integrated into the game itself. The game has a huge following of Dungeons & Dragons fans, so the question becomes, is this game still good a few years later, and is it worth your time and hard drive space now? Let's find out together in this ×2 review. Hey guys, Extermicide here, and I'm with my buddy Ark.
How you guys doing today?
And today is another ×2 review day, and today we are going to review Neverwinter. Actually, technically, Dungeons & Dragons Neverwinter. Did you ever play Neverwinter back in the day?
I never played this before, ever.
Alright, so Neverwinter was released in 2013 by Perfect World Entertainment and developed by Cryptic Studios. Let's create our characters.
Alrighty.
Wow, lots of races here. Okay, so we got humans, half-orc, wood elf, sun elf, dwarf, halfling, half-elf, tiefling, drow, and then we have a bunch of dragonborn, metallic ancestry, Azamar, Gith, moon elf, and something I can't even begin to freaking pronounce, but we got a few that are actually locked and probably have to pay to unlock. We do have male and female freaking options. So I guess before we can actually do anything else, we have to select our race. And I'm just gonna go with I'm gonna go with a wood elf. And then we get to select our class. So we have cleric, barbarian, warlock, rogue, fighter, paladin, ranger, and wizard. Good selection of classes and races. I gotta give them that.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and do a rogue, wood elf rogue. Get that DPS so we can just give this a real good review. So hitting continue, it shows my ability scores. Shows that dexterity and strength are my most useful abilities. Good to know. And press continue, and we get our little screen where we can select one of these preset heads. So 12 to select from.
Nice little, yeah, it's not bad.
Flip over to the customize tab, and now we get to customize the face a little bit even more.
Yeah, look at the body scaling, that's kind of cool.
Oh wow, you can really bulk your guy up or slim him down. All right, so that's basically pretty much it. Gotta select a deity affiliation. I have no idea what the deities are, so these are, you know, whatever god you're worshiping, and you would have to read the little storyline here, what the backing is for each of these. So like Mordain is definitely going to favor dwarves. I'm gonna say for wood elf, I'm gonna go with Saloon. It seems to be the goddess of the moon. For wood elf, that probably seems like it's probably the right choice. And then it says character origins. I don't know how much this matters, but you know, we're gonna select the very bottom one, AMN. Gonna make that our origin. Click continue. Type in a name. And begin adventure. Well, the cinematics have definitely held up good for 8 years.
Yeah.
Dude, if this was an actual movie, I'd say, screw it, I'm not doing this review today. I'm gonna go watch the movie.
Right. This is pretty good, considering the fact that the character creation is not bad, but kind of lackluster. But the actual the cinema is actually pretty amazing.
Rise, my children. Rise and feed upon the living.
Damn, the Death Queen, man, she's hot.
I know. That was pretty cool, man.
So one of the marketing ploys of this game is they actually was advertising it as a game made by Dungeons & Dragon fans for Dungeons & Dragon fans.
So you can still walk. You were in bad shape when we pulled you from the front line. I don't know how I feel about untested adventurers volunteering their aid in this fight, but my men need all the help they can get.
I'm impressed already with the voice acting.
Dracolich is tearing through our ranks. Protector's Enclave needs reinforcements. Fight your way to the Sleeping Dragon Bridge. If you see a particularly imposing tiefling, that's Makos. Do what you can to aid him. Before you go, make sure to arm yourself for the trials ahead.
I selected his, I said understood, and it kept talking even though I already closed out a dialogue box, which I kind of like. Crate here has a bunch of
Press
weapons and
to
stuff.
open your inventory. Double-click an item to equip it.
And we got little sparklies to show us the way. I don't see you, which means we can't join up with each other quite yet.
Campfires or rest zones where out-of-combat players may heal.
So when you need healing, sit by a campfire and you'll heal. Good to know.
Hover your reticle over objects and enemies to target them.
In combat, much the same as Terra. I like that. Wow, the graphics are actually, especially lighting, are actually pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, good. You look capable.
Talking
We
to
are
the next
preparing
guy,
to push towards
Makos.
that bridge and rendezvous with
Yep,
the soldiers
right next
holding
to
the
him.
line. It's time to put an end to this beast! Protect me while I perform.
You know,
the ritual.
one thing I do like about this is that I can just hold my left key down. Like, I don't need to keep left clicking to do things. I can just hold it down.
Yes.
Makes it easier on your fingers, you know?
I love the ambient glow of the spell effects.
If you hold your right click down, you actually attack from a distance.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I don't like that shift just makes you kind of roll instead of giving you a sprint.
Right. Yeah, not being able to just do that all the time is a little bit frustrating already for me.
You did well to keep the undead at bay.
Talking to
We are holding
Celeste.
the line here while we treat the wounded. I fear the bridge is in worse shape. You would do well to assist there.
Oh, the archers are
Seek
pretty
out
cool.
Sergeant Knox once you've crossed the bridge.
Go on ahead. I will meet you there. They're in trouble! We must go to their aid!
No, you hit Q, you got a special attack. Wow, it gets really busy. You start seeing all the numbers flying around.
That warlock does some damage.
There really isn't much of a challenge when it comes to attacking things, though. It's pretty much you just aim at something and it does all the work. Now, what you can do is you can double tap the direction you want to go, and it doesn't cost any stamina or anything like that. So you have your sprint along with your double, your evade, double, double button, whatever.
Alright, so the guy on the horse here is a boss.
I'll get you for that!
Your hit points are low. Use a health potion to restore them.
Valintra!
Oh, the Lich just tossed my warlock to the side like he was nothing. Oh shit.
Oh, I'm out of stamina.
Woohoo! Alright, boss is dead.
I believe I'm in your debt. You fight quite well. When you are ready, we should move on to protect his enclave.
You guys had a bad day, man. He's all bent over, beat up and everything.
Nox is up ahead. You should speak with him next.
So apparently, if you want to play this game hardcore, these little breadcrumbs you're seeing on the ground, the little sparklies that lead you in the direction of where to go, in the settings, you can actually turn that off.
Protector's Enclave needs your help.
Talking to Nox.
So, you are the one who saved Makos. For the journey, you're going to need a mount of your own. Head down to the Shandakel stables and talk with the mount merchants there.
Yeah, we're gonna get our first mount already. Wow, that's actually pretty freaking cool looking.
Welcome to the Shandakel stables, where we meet all of your mount needs. Need a horse? Armored bear?
So I equipped, I went to my inventory, I equipped my horse, and then down the bottom right, all I did is hit the number 7, and it,
Okay. That was the problem, I didn't have it equipped. Oh, I like the little wisp of smoke that appears.
Right.
Every now and then I'm pleasantly surprised, and you're talking about a game made in 2013, and you come into something like this thinking, well, I'm not going to expect a whole lot, and then you find out, damn, the freaking graphics have held up actually pretty damn good. So you open up your character sheet, you view your mount. Apparently these are like slots where you can actually upgrade your mount through time. From what I was reading too, is the mounts in the game, or it may be the pets, I think it's pets, have a similar system like this, but when you slot stuff into it, not only does it benefit the pet, it actually benefits your own character too. It's like extra stats you can get.
pretty in-depth if you think about it. I mean, look, you got appearance, a history, the powers. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do to your character.
Over by the White Reindeer, there's a Zen merchant. So this is how they're doing their online store. It's actually an NPC that you go up to. I'm sure there's probably a icon at the top to access them too, but we can actually take a look at the freaking store here. So I just want to take a quick look through the thing, and looking for anything pay to win in here. Experience booster, bank slots, physical appearance, character loadout, greater glory booster, race reroll, inscribed garments. These garments, are enchanted to grant a total of 20% experience gained when worn. Rename token, retraining token, shared bank slots. I am honestly not seeing anything that blatantly stands out as pay to win.
Well, there's packs that you can buy that gives you better gear and everything, like bundle packs and everything. There's a PvP starter pack, a gift race pack, expedition pack of good intentions. There's just all a bunch of stuff in here that you can get that are just items that are obviously give you some sort of bonuses things and everything. I mean,
so this is what I was looking for, and then this is something that you and I will probably agree on, or actually differ on when we do our scoring, because you kind of tend to lean towards that whole convenience, thing, and I'm very much against any kind of pay-to-win mechanic at all. We'll see in scoring how we feel about that, but that's all I wanted to see. I just wanted to see it for myself.
Fine choice. Now you're ready to go abroad.
Said now we're ready to go get abroad.
I like the busy population, and and we both it's a group thing, so that you actually credited it towards me also as well. A very active community in here.
Alrighty.
Do a little dungeon crawl.
The sound effects I'm actually finding to be surprisingly good. The music, for me, yeah. Ooh.
You have suffered a minor injury.
Oh, I ran right through a trap.
Receiving 2 minor injuries in the same location.
That's kind of cool that they're sticking with the lore of the D&D, how thieves can actually, sense those traps and stuff. That's kind of cool.
You go after the big guy. I'm going to take care of the 2 small ones and join you.
All right. Oh, I just fell down.
Treasure chest. Now, were you able to loot it also?
Yeah.
Because I said take all, so I didn't know if it would take everything and leave you with nothing, or how it worked.
When I'm right-clicking and attacking from a distance, I'm actually stunning him too. So he was having a hard time using the arrow.
Oh, we got a boss here. All right, I'll take care of the lackey and then join you with the boss.
Oh, I just throttled him.
Well done.
Yes, I helped to steal the crown of Neverwinter. I wasn't on the national, but after
Ooh,
cause of
chest,
it.
chest. So we got a thieves mask. At least I got a thieves mask. What did you get out of the chest?
I got the same thing, thieves mask.
And it brought us right out to where the quest guy is that we returned it to.
I've been keeping
Wait a
Sergeant
second.
Knox apprised of your progress. I believe he's
Sneak.
quite
What am I
impressed
doing
so
with
far.
the sneak? Oh, am I? Okay.
Gothwin told us everything.
Where'd
What
you
was
go?
step in this district? Black Lake is home only to the... According to Gothwin's information, Kozov is hiding in a safe house nearby, while the Crown is hidden in their headquarters.
All right, dude, you ready to score this thing?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's start with graphics. For a 2013 game, I gotta say, I believe that the graphics have held up very well. I'll be honest, I went into this not expecting a whole lot, and I was actually pleasantly surprised the first freaking 5 minutes we were in the game. Just seeing how some of these shadows and the spell effects, you know, and the lighting was being used. Even going into some of these little minor, for lack of a better term, instances that they had in the game. The fires, the torches that were burning, there's a lot to look at as far as the graphics go in this game. The character models looked pretty good, except for the NPCs. They kind of scared me. The eyes, they looked really cracked out. That one lady especially, she scared me. I'm probably going to go to bed tonight having nightmares about that particular NPC. But overall, man, I was really surprised. Now this uses the same graphics engine as Star Trek Online, which is Cryptic's own proprietary engine, which allows them to create these games a little bit faster. That surprises me because with Star Trek Online, that game was just, I really hate to use the term failure, but compared to this game, I would say yes, it was a failure compared to this game. And it's hard for me to comprehend that it was the same engine for both of these games. Graphics, they're aged a little bit, but they're really damn good. I'm gonna go with a 9 for graphics.
I think that the graphics for the time is amazing. I absolutely fell in love with the cutscene the first time we went into the game, and that was something. That was an awesome, like you said, you know, you could sit back and just watch a movie. It's like you're watching a movie. It was really impressive. The ambience of the background, the scaling, I think everything looked really fantastic. The only thing I didn't like was the animation for your own character when you're running. I think they kind of cut a corner there. Everything else I thought was absolutely pretty amazing. So I'm gonna give it a 9.
Next we go with sound and music, and I'm gonna let you go first on this one.
So I think the ambient sounds of mobs hitting and getting attacked, and the aggro, I feel that was spot on. I really enjoyed the immersion of being able to hear that. The music was good. It was up tempo. It was good beat. But I think sometimes it got a little monotonous, and I did turn it down just a little bit. So for myself, I honestly didn't feel like it was too irritating. So for me, I'm actually going to give it an 8.
All right, for me, for the sound effects, I actually thought the sound effects were dead on. I actually liked that one boss that we fought, the rat boss, and he made these little ratty sounds and everything, for lack of a better way of putting it. Combat sound effects actually sounded like you were hitting the guys. I was pretty impressed with the sound effects. Music, however, not so much. The music to me just sounded, it wasn't bad, but it just sounded meh. You know, it could have been better, but I was really impressed with the sound effects, and that includes the actual voice acting. I thought the voices in the freaking game were incredibly good for the time. I'm gonna go with a 7, and it's basically that high, mostly from the sound effects, not so much the music. All right, next we got story. I'll go ahead and go first on this one. Obviously, there was a story there. It started off with the opening cinematic. The quest givers were giving you quests to go and run and do this and do this. But however, those quests that we were being given didn't necessarily feel like they were part of the story, or that they were actually progressing us through the story. They felt more like they were progressing us through the individual zone. And there's probably like maybe the last quest of each zone probably progresses the story a little bit more. So story, I think, is something they probably could have done a little bit better in this particular title. I'm gonna go ahead and land on a freaking 6 with the story.
Okay, I think the same thing too. I feel that the quests themselves was like zone by zone, level by level, like level 1 to 10, level 11 to 20, you know, that type of thing. And the linear storyline was linear. Like you just had to they just kept moving it from one zone to the next, and they're adding a little bit of storyline. But I really didn't feel like that. I didn't really see like a primary storyline for your character. You had your general questing and general information, kind of give a little bit of background on that, but I really didn't feel like your own personal storyline. So I'm actually going to give it a 6 too.
It's a shame because it's Dungeons and Dragons. We know that we're in some kind of a war and everything, but they never explained who we're at war with or why. You know, I know that we're at war obviously with orcs, but they just never explained the why part of it, which is a shame. Next, that brings us to combat, and go ahead, let you take this one first.
So combat, I felt that it was kind of not boring. I like the idea that you can change up your different types of attacks. You can upgrade. I see you have the potential to really customize your own attack ability and be able to make your own person within the line of that class. So like you and I both play the same rogue class. I feel that you and I would have two separate different type of characters if we went two different ways of how we went with the build. And I didn't have any fear when it came to combat. And yeah, I mean, when you have 5 mobs, yeah, you do have the fear of getting you get beat up and stuff like that and everything, but you had the ability to dodge out. But honestly, I really didn't feel like there's any competition really I really had to work hard. I just had to just hold down my button and it turned for me. It just did everything for me. And so that got kind of boring, but I like the fact that they give you a lot of different options with your daily deity attacks and your other attacks that you can. So it does kind of mix it up a little bit. So I think I'm actually going to give it a 7.
All right, combat. So the first thing that I'm going to have to say is that I do love action combat, and we were playing rogues, which action combat goes perfectly with. And I'm in full agreement with you that if I was playing a spellcaster, tab targeting would be the better way to go. But I do like games like Terra, that use the tab targeting. I mean, that use the action combat. And I did like the fact that, you could kind of telegraph where a monster was getting ready to swing. So I liked that kind of a combat system. And it felt pretty fluid to me. However, I don't know, it's kind of a blessing in disguise, being that you can just hold the mouse button down and have your character just keep constantly swinging. On the one hand, saves you carpal tunnel and finger fatigue,
arthritis in your fingers. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but then in hindsight, it's like it really didn't make you freaking work for anything, so it's kind of a damn if you do, damn if you don't type situation. But I'm gonna fall on a 6 with combat. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. I think it was probably really, really good in its time for this particular title.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's, because of time, things kind of, get worse, and I think things are done better in modern day MMOs. So I think time has just bitten this one in the ass. So I'm gonna give it a 6. All right, next we got gameplay. I'll go ahead and take this one first. Gameplay, I thought, was actually pretty impressive in the aspect that I came into this game with very, very low expectations, to be completely honest. I never played it back in the day. Neverwinter is one of those names I kept hearing every now and then when people would talk about MMOs, and I just never really got around to trying it. And after playing it tonight, I kind of regret that decision. I think back in its day, I probably would have really enjoyed this game, and that saddens me. Could I go easy, go into it and play it now? Probably, but I'm going to be constantly comparing it to modern day MMORPGs, and that's not to say that the gameplay in this game is bad by any means. From what I saw, everything played very well. I thought that the breadcrumbs were a little bit too handholdy in my taste, but however, you can go ahead in the settings and you can turn that off if you want to play hardcore mode. And basically, I can't see getting any, it'll take you forever to get these quests done if you don't know where to go, because the maps are just so damn big and so damn populated. Again, that's probably another, you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't, as far as whether or not you want to have the breadcrumbs on. I would really suggest keeping them on, especially when you're new to the game, and probably once turn them off once you get all the way to top level. Anyway, gameplay, I'm going to go with a 7.
For gameplay, for me, I really felt that the movement was well. Like you were just you're always on the go, always on the move. But it didn't feel like it was too fast or too much, but it also didn't feel like I was getting bored. And with the whole breadcrumb thing, sometimes it's nice to just get into a game where I don't have to think and I can just relax. If I want to kill some orcs, I go over there, kill that, you know. And so sometimes I just want to get on. I just want to just have some fun, no stress, just relax, kill some stuff. And I think that the whole breadcrumb thing works in that favor. And I think having the option to be able to remove that, so if you don't like it, then make it a bigger challenge for yourself and trying to find those things, but also knowing that this game is really in this, as of right now, with this particular beginning session and expansion of the beginning, it's very linear. So no matter what you're going to do, if you go in a zone, this is what you're going to be doing anyway. So, but I also know that they've had 13 different, it seemed like they've had an expansion every year of something. So I definitely feel that we certainly didn't tap into everything. And maybe we might at some point get ourselves into an open world later with later expansions with trying to be more contemporary and everything. So I don't hold that anything against it. And I really appreciate the game. I really did enjoy this game. And so for me, I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay, next we have character creation. I'll let you go ahead and take this one first.
I think at first I was a little bit put off about the limitations of what you can do because you had the basic presets, and then we saw the advanced settings and you can get a little bit deeper and there's a lot more slider bars and you can do a lot more things. And so I kind of took it back on that, and you can do quite a bit. Now, granted, it's not like BDO where you have tons of all these different things. But sometimes, honestly, even with BDO, I never really used all of them. So for myself, I think BDO is probably a one far extreme, and Star Trek Online is the other extreme of having basically nothing. So I think this is kind of a nice complement in the middle. So I don't really have anything against it. So I think for myself, I'm probably just going to give it a 7 just because of the age of the game.
All right, I'm pretty much right there with you. I thought the character creation was pretty damn good. There was a lot of freaking races, and some that were actually had to be unlocked. Those were probably introduced to the game later during different expansion packs that came out, and maybe you have to have the expansion to be able to unlock those characters, and that's why they were locked to us from the beginning. I get that. We're talking about a game from 2013, and here we are jumping into it now. So I get all that. And going in and just seeing like a few presets, again, initial reaction, just like you, was a little bit turned off. It's like, whoa, this is it. But then you started seeing those sliders where how you can start to manipulate some of these presets, and there was a lot of freaking sliders. So I was actually pretty impressed in the aspect that, again, this is a 2013 game, that they actually put that much into character creation. So I'm going to be a little bit more generous with character creation. I'm going to go with 9 here.
I think also to add is that customization could have been added later. So what we had, the first tab, which was your presets, that could have been the original, this is what you have. And then later on, as they built that engine further, they could have added that customization. So that could have been added later. So just a thought.
All right, that brings us to population. So we saw a lot of freaking people running around. We saw a very active chat happening, and I had you actually go ahead and look up what kind of population does this game see these days, and what'd you come up with?
So subscription and fan base was 2.5 million, but as of right now, as of last month, we have at peak, the average was 1,600, but the peak was around 2,000 people on playing.
And that's pretty freaking impressive for a game this old, that many people are still playing it. That shows that A, it's Dungeons and Dragons, it has a big fan base. B, people have already invested a lot of time into their characters for this game and don't want to freaking jump out of a game and into a new MMORPG when you have that much time and maybe even in some cases money invested into this game. So I think that's actually pretty impressive. So yeah, if you're a new guy and you're coming in, don't worry. There's people playing this game. There's probably many guilds to join, partying up with people. I don't see that probably being a problem because people seem to be pretty friendly in that freaking chat too. I was actually impressed by how much of population we were seeing going into this. So I'm going to go ahead and give them a 8 here on population.
I think that there was people that were looking for groups and people were asking about, a specific class that they're looking for. And I think with all the expansions that are out there, I think we've only, and I don't know if that's a server based chat room or is that maybe just a zone only chat room, that I think once we get ourselves into the further, the latter end, I think you're going to see a lot more people all congregated together in that one zone. It's probably a melting pot at that point. So I would say for that one, I'm going to give it a 7.
All right, next that brings us to UI and menus. You want to go ahead and take this one first?
For the UI, I really felt that I didn't have any issues whatsoever. It was your typical buttons. Everything was very familiar. And for the date that it came out, this could have been one of those things where it could have been one of those games that it was preset those keys. So other games who have been built later are using the same number keys as could have been. I don't know. I didn't have any problems whatsoever. I didn't have any difficulties understanding the meta of how to do your the mounts and the weapons and the boons and upgrades. So I really didn't have any problems with it. So I'm actually going to give it a 9.
All right, the UI I felt right at home with. It's what you expect to find in any typical MMORPG, especially the big ones that we've all played, like Guild Wars 2 or World of Warcraft. It was a standardized MMORPG UI, and I can appreciate that. And I actually felt very comfortable. I was actually impressed with settings. The setting menus themselves were all just nicely laid out, and I knew exactly where to go. But they actually kind of went a little extra in some places. For example, there was one for graphics, and then there was another way they reworded it, which basically had to do with graphics too, but it was kind of like a sub menu of it. One allowed you to actually select the video card that you wanted to use to process the game. So I'm assuming that part of it was put in when maybe SLI was all the rage, and okay, you get to actually select which video card you want. Okay, that doesn't really have a lot of bearing on today's computers. SLI is kind of freaking died, and we use it less and less now. But when I went over to like the monitor section and everything, I clearly see that they've updated even these settings over the years, because here I am with an ultra wide monitor and they had my resolution in there. And if you went into full screen, if you actually changed your monitor to full screen, they actually gave you options for setting the refresh rate. So if you have a 148 refresh rate monitor or 160, those refresh rates were in there if you went full screen mode. I was actually really impressed. That tells me they're trying to keep the game, as far as all the settings, up to date with modern day MMOs, up to date on a 2013 game. To me, that's really impressive, and I have to commend them for at least going back. And if you're going to keep the game alive, in my mind, you have to keep everything updated and make it worth playing. If you're just gonna ignore a game after it gets old, just take it down. You know, if you're never gonna upgrade anything or never gonna fix anything and never gonna add to it, take it down, because nobody wants to play a defunct game that hasn't been updated since 10 years ago, you know. So I was actually really impressed, and I'm gonna actually go ahead and give them a 10 for UI and menus. Next is chat spam. We saw a population. We saw people talking in chat. I absolutely at no point in time saw any chat spam or gold selling messages at all in chat. So I'm just going to straight and simple. I'm giving chat spam a perfect 10. Well done, guys.
I completely agree. I give it a 10.
And finally, we have cash shop / pay to win. Why don't you go ahead and take this one first?
So I understand that this is an older game, and they obviously at one point they were going to be a subscription based, and they got to do what they got to do to survive. And even the fact that now that they do have cash shops, I really don't feel it would have made a whole lot of difference. I do see that there's packages there's bundles that you can buy that can give you a ride and give you gear, but I mean, I really don't think it'll be make a huge difference, maybe in the short term of things, but I really didn't feel like, you know, like this could really get you ahead. So I don't know. I really don't have any objections to this, honestly, with this particular. This one doesn't scream pay to win, kind of like we did with a League of Maidens, or, you know, that type of thing, where it's almost like the entire UI is just covered with blinking ways to buy stuff, you know, and I didn't have any issues with it whatsoever. So I'm going to give it, I'm going to give it about an 8, I think.
All right, and cash shop and pay to win is something that you and I kind of view a little bit differently. So the first thing I always look for is items, be it weapons, be it armor, anything that actually has stats on it. To me, that is a big no-no. A cash shop should be cosmetic only, maybe leveling boosts, XP boosts, stuff like that. But anything that actually gives your character stats, I am not a fan of. So they apparently have a thing in here where you can level your character up to top level real quick, which that's fine and dandy if you want to do that. I'm not a fan of that because, you know, in a game that has a story and everything, you know, I always look at it that you're doing yourself a disservice by not playing the game and playing through the story. But then again, you know, we already judged on this particular game that there didn't seem to be a whole lot of story going on. It was kind of a mediocre one. So okay, it is what it is. But there was the fact that you could buy these bundles that had armor with stats on them, and you could buy weapons with stats on them. In fact, you can even buy mounts that you can put gems, or there's some kind of like enchantment that you can put on your mounts, and these enchantments not only boost your mounts abilities, but they boost your own abilities too. So selling these mounts in the cash shop that actually give you the ability to add more stats and buffs to you and everything, to me is just kind of, I don't know, there's a lot going on there that if you actually have the money to buy the armor, to buy the weapon, to buy the mount, you can actually pretty much freaking boost your stats up higher than the normal player. However, looking in the freaking Reddits and everything, some people are actually okay with this because this armor that they're selling and these weapons that they're selling are not considered the best armor and weapons in the game. So if you want the best armor and weapons in the game, well, you're going to be joining a guild and you're going to be doing the high tier raid dungeons and you're going to be working your ass off for it. But, you know, not everyone has the time to do that. So this gives those kind of people the next best thing, which is just like, you know, a little bit less than the best stuff in the game, and I'm just not really a big fan of that. You win with an 8 for the rating for cash shop pay to win. I'm going the opposite side of the spectrum. I'm giving them a 4 on it. All right, so adding up my scores, I came up with a total of 76.
And I've got 79 for mine.
Adding those totals together gives us a score of 155. And dividing it by 2, since there's 2 of us playing, gives us a final score of 77.5. Which gives us a final letter grade of With a grade of B, this game is considered good and is really worth your time to check out. It falls a little short in some areas, but overall it really is a solid and good game with more good things happening within than bad. We definitely feel this game is worth your time and hard drive space, so make sure you give it a look. Anyways, that's it for our ×2 review for this game. We hope you enjoyed it and found it informative, and we will catch you again on the next ×2 review.